Belgium versus Italy. We're going to have a very quick look at the deck lists. We do see the Unicorn player playing, of course, Keeper of Fire, Upholding Authority, Border Fortress, Feast of Famine, Pilgrimage, and Rally to the Cause. Nothing irregular here. Sneaky Shinyu is interesting. I think this is a very good card. It would be a fantastic card if it had Cavalry, but it does not. Also see a single Yoritomo, which is a bit spicy. We see it's Crab Splash, so there's Rebuild, Spreading the Darkness, Reprieve, and Skirmishes, which is all pretty good in my opinion. Nothing other strange here. The restricted list card is Charge. The Phoenix player is playing with Lion Splash, Legions of Wands, and My Ancestor's Strength. A bit spicy with Path of the Man, and it's running Against the Waves as the restricted list card, even though it's running Fujicho, which is a bit interesting in my opinion. But the game has already started, so we're going to go right into it. So basically what happened the first turn, I'm just going to have a quick look, is that the Phoenix player went first and played Ethereal Dreamer with 2 extra fate, at which point the Unicorn player instantly passed and then played the Sneaky Chinyu through his reaction. And then the Phoenix player played Naive Student and then passed, and both players bid 5. Alright, so we see the Ethereal Dreamer trigger the ability. After the conflict phase begins, choose a ring until the end of the phase. This character +2 military and +2 political while that ring is being contested, and chose the firing and went fire onto Shiitomi encampment, and that is Upholding Authority. I'm quickly gonna bring up my chat on my pad on the side here so I can see what people are saying to me. I'm currently still stuck on a single screen, a single monitor maybe I should say. Oh, and we do see some quick actions coming in. The initiation conflict was political, and in response to a political conflict, the Sneaky Chinyu defends and a captive audience is being played. During a political conflict, lose 1 honor, change the conflict type to military. At this point, the Phoenix player played a Legion of 1, which says, during a military conflict, choose a character that is participating on your side alone until the end of the conflict. That character is +3 military. You may remove 1 fate from the character to resolve this ability twice, which he did. So he removed 1 fate from the Ethereal Dreamer, and this Ethereal Dreamer is now 9 military skill. And in defense to this, the Unicorn player charged Shinyu Altanzani into this conflict. So the charge says, during a military conflict, choose a character in one of your provinces, put that character into play into the conflict. And then what's going on is alright, so a few things happened. Walking the Way was played and discarded. Walking the Way, if you control it again, yeah. Reduce the cost of playing this card by 1. Action, look at the top 3 cards of your Dynasty deck. Choose, discard a card from a province you control and put 1 of the looked at cards into that province face up. So he got rid of Naive Student and replaced it with a Mio Mystic. And then we did see a Talisman of the Sun played on the Shinyu Altanzani. Talisman of the Sun, of course, says, during a conflict in which you are the defending player, bow this attachment, move the contested ring to another eligible province and reveal it if able. That province is now the attacked province. And then we quickly saw the Phoenix player use his Stronghold. Action, during a conflict, bow this Stronghold, play a spell event from your conflict discard pile as if it were in your hand, and replayed Walking the Way, and this time found Asako Tsunami, and replaced a Solemn Scholar with it. Now we have a few things more that happened. So Fine Katana is attached to Ethereal Dreamer, and Talisman of the Sun is bowed and moving it to Feast or Famine. This means that currently Feast or Famine is breaking, which means this fate of the Ethereal Dreamer is going to get sucked over to Shinju Altansane. A really strong opening from the Unicorn player, coming out extremely aggressive here. Oh, okay, so that was something I missed. So Calimsha, the Unicorn player, actually played a Katana on the Dreamer. Thank you very much, chat. Yes, this is indeed turn 1. Things are going fast and furious. So, the Unicorn player played one of his cards from the hand, the Fine Katana, that gives +2 military strength, onto the Phoenix character, and then used the Talisman of the Sun to swap over to Feast or Famine. A really, really strong play, which means Feast or Famine is going to be broken, and this fate is going to get stolen onto Shinju Altansane. That is a really strong opening for the Unicorn player. Even though the Unicorn player lost a province here, he now has a 5-cost character with a Talisman of the Sun with 1 fate, and a 1-cost character with 1 fate. Thank you so much for the hosts, Pimittens and Doji David. Alright. Yes, the Feast or Famine with Talisman is scary, indeed. Yeah. Full on aggro from the Phoenix player here. Apparently, Calimsha doesn't have a conflict character, or doesn't wish to play a conflict character right now in order to unbow Altansane with, for instance, the Water Ring, which would be an interesting play. But there might be a surprise conflict if the Phoenix player passes his, but I imagine the Phoenix player is just going to declare a conflict on, I guess, upholding authority again. It's a pretty safe province to attack. And we do see the Phoenix player passing the conflict opportunity. So, are we going to see a conflict character getting dropped from the Unicorn player here? Like, if the Unicorn player drops a conflict character and goes in military, I guess, water, then he can actually have both of his guys ready for a second attack. Why can he have both of his guys ready for a second attack, and why can he have a second attack? Because he says he only has 1 left. Well, the Unicorn Stronghold says, after you win a military conflict with more participating characters than your opponent, bow the stronghold and sacrifice a friendly cavalry character. You may declare an additional military conflict this phase. So, for instance, the Unicorn player could have dropped a conflict character from hand that has the cavalry trait, attacked military, which means this -2 could not have defended, and then he would trigger Stronghold. He would get a military ring for the Shitome encampment, and the Water Ring would have unbowed one of them, and the encampment would have unbowed the other, which would have been a really strong play. Yes, the Unicorn row is a lot less scary with face gone this soon. I believe that was a mistake from the... Maybe not. So apparently the Phoenix player who just dug out Asako Asunami, then discarded Asako Asunami, but did find Kanyo District, which is perfect because the Phoenix player has favor. Actually, I don't think Calimsha runs Shameful Display. I'm gonna have a quick look. It is Pilgrimage that is the Void Province for Calimsha, so... So, yeah. Of course, Mia Mystic gets played to remove this talisman. I imagine we're probably gonna see Sava Yuona get played as well. I think it's probably worth fating that a bit more. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have a quick look at the Unicorn player's deck list again. it does not play a single assassination. So, yeah, Yuona should have been played with a lot more fate, in my opinion. Yeah, let's have a quick look at what the Phoenix player could have on the Canyon District. Just to say something quickly, both players bid 5. I think it's probably wrong of the Phoenix player, or at least less ideal, to play the Fire Tensei Initiate here and should have just loaded up Fate on Yuona. Let's have a quick look at what provinces. So, Frostbitten, Crossing, Manicured Gardens, Upholding Authority, Shameful, and Rally to the Cause. It's very real possibility that Shameful display is under this Canyon District. And we see a Wayfinding getting played from Calimsha, and he sees Frostbitten Crossing. It's a very real possibility that Frostbitten Crossing is what's under the Kanjo. And while the chat is completely correct that Yuona is fairly low impact here because there's only one non-unique character, well, the Fire Tensei Initiate is even less impactful because she's a 0-0. I think Yuona with 2 Fate is probably a correct play most of the time. I honestly equate Yuona with like something like the Agasha Swordsmith from Dragon. Just a really solid 2-drop that you want to stick around for a little bit. Alright, so see. So Frostbitten Crossing actually only works on participating characters, so you can't remove Finger of Jade or Talisman of the Sun from characters at home. And we do see a defense with Yuona. And in response to this, we see a Spreading the Darkness. So let's just wait until that hits the discard so we can actually have a look at that. So, Spreading the Darkness. Lose 2 honor. Choose a participating character you control. Until the end of the conflict, that character gets plus 4 military strength and cannot be targeted by opponent's card abilities. Which means it is actually immune to stuff like Kanyo District and Yuona and everything else. And in response, we do see a Supernatural Storm to buff up Yuona. And this is interesting because this kind of explains why he played the Fire Tensei Initiate. To have an extra Shigenya is actually pretty big when you want to use Supernatural Storm, which is fine. Oh, I didn't say 3 Fate to Yuona, I said 2 Fate to Yuona. I don't think it's worth having Fire Tensei Initiate for more than 1 round either. So, a few things happen. We see the Windswept Yurt sacrificed. Sacrifice this holding, select 1. Each player gains 2 fate or each player gains 2 honor. And the chosen was 2 honor. And then refill this province face up. And we do see it refill as a Battle Maiden recruit. I think it's super dangerous for the Phoenix player here to go military. I mean, of course, the Unicorn player should be running Captive Audience. Let's see how many there are. 2. So any sort of attack here is really dangerous because the defense is probably going to be more characters and then stronghold activation. Alright, this Fire Tensei Initiate attacking probably suggests to me that it's actually going to be military, because military favor actually provides skill to this. I think this is a mistake. I think the Unicorn player simply defends with both sneaky Shinios, and when he wins that conflict, or just even, yeah, or just defend big because you can ready with encampment. So basically what's going to happen is Calimsha is going to win. Oh, it was political and onto Border Fortress. So of course we see the unicorn shenanigans. So Border Fortress. During a conflict at this province, choose a face-down province, reveal that province, and he chooses his own stronghold, which is Rally to the Cause. After this province is revealed, switch to conflict type. So he basically used his province to switch to conflict type. And now this is a military conflict. The Phoenix player, does he run consumed by 5 fires? Let me check. He does not run consumed by 5 fires. Alright, so what's going to happen now is the Unicorn player is going to successfully defend. He's going to have an Honored Shonyo from Pride. He is going to ready the Honored Shono. And then he's going to attack. I guess. Oh, and we see some cute cards from the Phoenix player here. We see an My Ancestor's Strength. During a conflict, choose a participating Shugenya character you control and a character in your Dynasty discard pile. Until the end of the conflict, set the participating character's base military and political skill equal to the printed military and political skill of the other character. And he chose the Asako Tsunami. So this Fire Tensei Initiate is actually a 4/4 now. Yes. Build Curly's army. This is probably your deck slightly changed because you're probably not the only one that has the idea of Phoenix aggro with Lion Splash. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that. Alright, and we see the Shrine Maiden grabbing a... So Shrine Maiden, after this character enters play, reveal the top 3 cards of your conflict deck, add each spell and each keyhook card revealed by this ability to your hand and discard the rest. And it found a Display of Power and a Censure and a Censure, so both the Censures gets discarded. And then we see a Supernatural Storm to have this Fire Tensei Initiate gain +3, and that is from the Stronghold. And then a Cloud the Mind quickly gets played, and Force of the River is attached to Yushiwai Finder, and Force of the River is getting used. So Defender is now 10 to Attacker's 9. This is just like a lot of things happening at the same time. The Unicorn player really needs to win this defense because he has invested a lot. And there's still this left to be used. Using it on Shinju Altansarne is not bad here, I think. So let's see if we have missed any sort of like interact. Yeah, that is it. Kanju District sends home Shinju Altansarne. Currently, attacker is winning by 2. That means this Shonen is actually going to be dishonored. From no, he's not going to be dishonored because he's clouded. So Pride is not in effect. And let's see what the Spirits of the River was. A Master of the Swift Waves and the Child of the Plains. So both players invested actually quite heavily in that conflict, with the Phoenix player winning but not breaking. The problem is really that this board from the Unicorn player is going to be alive for... Well, for probably the rest of the game, this Shonen is going to be alive, whilst the board of the Unicorn player, the Phoenix player is going to die out after this turn. I think, honestly, this actually puts the Phoenix player in a different, difficult spot here, because if he were to sacrifice the Mia Mystic to get rid of this Talisman, Uh, he doesn't win the favor. But of course, this Altanzani actually is about to die. So if he reprieves this, I think it's still worth to use the Mia Mystic to get rid of the reprieve, because Calimsha only has one fate and reprieve costs one. So do we see a pass here from the Phoenix player, Anatrona? Okay, this is ballsy. This is really ballsy. This is super ballsy. Yeah, I think this is a huge mistake from the Phoenix player. Why is this a huge mistake? Well, because if the Unicorn player, wins this conflict with two defenders, he sacrifices the Wayfinder, and then he readies something like Shono, and then he attacks. But we do see a military pump from the Phoenix player, so Banzai, he is now currently winning by 5-2. Oh yes, I'm fully aware that the Mia Mystic can be used during the conflict phase. I'm just like, if both players passed out, uh, in order to gain the favor again, it was one standing glory, two standing glory, one standing glory, and two rings. So if he actually sacrificed the Mia Mystic to get rid of anything here, the two standing glory would tie the favor and no one would get it, and that is sucks with the counter district live. So you kind of had to, if you wanted to have the favor guaranteed here, uh, you kind of needed to stand the Mystic, or you could do it like this: go watering and ready something with a lot of glory. Yeah, and we do see a bunch of stuff happening. So a Walking the Way was played again, and this time Yuona was triggered to bow one of the Sneaky Chinyos, and that meant the province actually got broken. So the Phoenix player did break. Yeah, and that's the mistake. The Mia Mystic should have just held on and waited for this reprieve to come down, because one fate saved for the Unicorn player pretty much signalized that he would have reprieve. And now, not only is Altansarnia alive for another round, this Talisman of the Sun is around for another round. Is alive for another round. That's huge. That's really, really big. If he just held on, sure, you have a Finger of Jade on this Shono, but he's clouded. It's not gonna matter too much, and this Shinyo Altansari would definitely die, because you don't play the reprieve when you can just get rid of it by sacrificing a Mia Mystic. And of course, we do see Adept of the Waves here from the Anergui. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty rough turn for the Phoenix player, because Altansari actually stuck around because the reprieve wasn't discarded by the Mystic. It was used a little bit too soon, in my opinion. And we do see like Nergui played with 3 Fate, which is big. And now we have like a really big board from the Unicorn player, and it's going to be scary quickly. So the Unicorn player is going to have a board that's strong, that sticks around for a while. If he finds like any more reprieves, he can keep saving this Shinyo Altansane, which is going to be super annoying because it has the talisman attached. And we see a second Cloud of Mind hit the Nergui, which means that ability is not going to have an impact. It's a really strong ability. It makes it a headache to defend. While this character is participating in a military conflict, choose a participating character with the highest glory in the conflict you choose. In case of tie, move that character home. This is usually used to push through conflicts. So it's interesting. So we see a Adept of the Waves grant Covert to Fire Tensei Initiate. I imagine this is going to mean that Fire Tensei Initiate is going to attack, and then the box is going to be used on the Phoenix Stronghold, that is. Sometimes box is used as a synonym to Stronghold. And a My Ancestor Strength is going to buff this Fire Tensei Initiate to a 6/6. That is my prediction of what is going to go down. Probably because he has more air spells. He has a lot of air spells, Lenath. Also, there's nothing really worth bowing either on this board. So the cards in play are Shinryu Altansane. Reaction: after you break a province during a military conflict in which this character is participating, your opponent chooses a character he or she controls, discard that character. With a Talisman of the Sun attached. It basically allows the defending player to move the conflict to whatever province he likes. Here's the Shinryu Shono. He is clouded, so his text box doesn't really matter. Clouded Mind is treat attached character as if its printed text box were blank. And then we have a couple of Sneaky Shinyus. The text box of Sneaky Shinyu is irrelevant right now. It only matters when it gets played. And we have a Moto Nergui, which is also clouded, which means its text box does not matter. And we do see a couple of Adeptive Waves here. Action: choose a character until the end of the phase. That character gains Covert during water conflicts. We have 2 of those. And a Fire Tensei Initiate. And a Usawa Yuona, which says after you play an air card during a conflict, choose a non-unique participating character and bow that character. So what happened was these 2 characters, one of them used the ability to give this guy Covert, and the other one used the ability to give the other Adept of the Waves Covert, and then he went political on Pilgrimage, and he converted the 2 big dudes. And what happens next is My Ancestor's Strength. Let's see. My Ancestor's Strength was used. So the Fire Tensei Initiate became a 6/6, and in response to this, Unleash the Jin was played. During a conflict, lose 3 honors. Set the military and political skill of each participating character to 3 until the end of the conflict. So it was 3 and 3 and against 3 and 3. But then the Kanyo District was used. During a conflict, discard Imperial Favor, choose a participating character, bow that character and move it home. So it bowed and moved home Nergui. And then a Ethereal Ningyu was dropped from hand, which says during a water conflict, put this character into play from your hand in the conflict. At the end of the conflict, shuffle this into your conflict deck. If I zoom in more, I think the UI kind of breaks a little bit. No, I guess they fixed that. I'm gonna have a quick look at how the... Yeah, it's a bit broken when I don't full screen it. That's why. Okay, so a couple of things happen. Oh wow, I missed a lot of things here while I was trying to explain. So, Windswept Yurt was played, sacrificed to give each player 2 fate. And then a Clarity of Purpose was played on this Adept of the Waves, which says during a conflict, choose a character you control. Until the end of a conflict, opponent's card effects cannot bow that character, and it does not bow as a result of conflict resolution during political conflicts. In response to this, a Captive Audience was played, which turned the conflict from political to military. And then a rebuild was used to rebuild the yurt again, and then the yurt was sacrificed again to get 2 fate, and then a cavalry reserve was used. During a military conflict, choose up to 6 printed cost worth of cavalry characters in your dynasty discard pile. Put those characters into play into the conflict. So, the unicorn player is currently winning this conflict. And the Shrine Maiden.
Scare me. Oh boy.
Thank you for the follow. I'm trying out that soundbite. I find it funny. It's about how Lion feels in this current meta. So, the Shrine Maiden gets played. After this character enters play, reveal the top 3 cards of your conflict deck, add each spell and each keyhole card revealed by this ability to your hand and discard the rest, and it finds a Against the Waves, ready a Shugenya character, and My Ancestor's Strength. Basically, choose the skill of a character in this card, and yeah. Set it to that, and it discarded a Feral Lingio. So, what happened was... the Phoenix player actually won the conflict but did not break. Yeah, while that's true, Alpha Squid, the Unicorn player plays Charge, which is a restricted list card.
Oh boy.
And because it's a restricted list card, he cannot pick any other restricted list cards, which includes For Greater Glory. So, while For Greater Glory would have been really good in a situation where you could put many characters into play, it cannot currently be put into the Unicorn player's deck if he wants to run Charge as well. And I think Charge is a stronger card than For Greater Glory for Unicorn right now. Okay, so honestly, from my opinion, a hugely surprising attack from the Unicorn player attacks military with the Battle Maiden Recruit, which does nothing and then instantly passes.
Oh boy.
And there's a lot of people following right now. Thank you very much for that. This Battle Maiden Recruit attacked with 0/0, and then no defenders were declared, and no cards were spent to do anything. So, because both sides of the conflict had 0 skill, the conflict fizzled, and the ring went back to unclaimed state. I think that's probably kind of bad for the Unicorn player here. He could have easily tried and pushed any sort of like military win, and then used the stronghold to get a second military conflict, and then used another one of his big characters to push for that conflict. Yeah. Extra points to whoever actually figures out.
Scare me. Oh boy.
So extra points to actually figure out, the person actually figures out where that soundbite comes from. It's from a movie. Alright, yeah, I agree with Bill Jr. here. You should have attacked a political poke with his Battle Maiden instead, and then has saved for a big push with your military characters, and then potentially had 2 military conflicts. And we do see a Against the Waves played here to ready Adept of the Waves. Why is the Phoenix player doing this if he doesn't have any conflicts left? Well, when you count for Imperial Favor, you count both the amount of rings and the amount of glory, the little one in the bottom right corner, for people who are new to the game. You count the amount of glory you have on ready characters. So he played the Against the Waves in order to have enough glory on standing characters. He readied a bowed character to gain the Imperial Favor again. So he can use Can You District this turn as well. And there's some talk in the chat about Frostbitten Crossing, this province right here. During a conflict at this province, choose a participating character, discard each attachment on that character. And Bill says, well, both Finger of Jade and Pathfinder's Blade beat it. We have already seen one Finger of Jade used, and I think Calimsha only runs 2. And Pathfinder's Blade is not played by Calimsha. It is indeed not allowed because he's keeper. And they did a slight correct here. Hold on, did he actually change the honor on the Unicorn player? I missed this. Chat, did any one of you catch if the Phoenix player actually adjusted his side of the fate and honor as well? Because it's for both players. Yeah, okay. Do I actually call this out, or do you guys just call an admin out? I'm just gonna, for the integrity of the game. Okay, the adjustment for Yurt was not performed on the Phoenix player. The fate and honor for Phoenix is wrong. Alright. No, it's fine. Okay, now it's okay. So, Canyon District is broken. But Display of Power gets played for the air ring, so the Unicorn player is actually down to 3 honor. Display of Power, of course, says after you lose an unopposed conflict, cancel the ring effect of that conflict, then you resolve the ring effect as if you had won the ring as the attacking player, and then you claim the ring as well. So, the Unicorn player is now ahead of board. He used his stronghold to sacrifice... I didn't see what he sacrificed. Alright, so he sacrificed the Spirit of the River from one of his Force of the River. So that means he has 2 conflicts left this turn. He still has 1 political and 1 military. And this Adept of the Waves has gained Covert and is going to convert this Master of the Swift Waves and go in on Upholding Authority to try and break this Shitomi encampment. I think it might have been a mistake not to use Shitomi encampment on any of the cavalry characters before. Of course, he has a Talisman of the Sun though, so he can move the conflict away from this province and don't have to worry about breaking Shitomi encampment. Oh, right. Yes, he cannot, of course, use Shitomi encampment because Display of Power stole the ring. I am being a bit of a dummy here. Thank you very much, Lineth. So, we do see a My Ancestor's Strength played again. I think that was from... Alright, so that My Ancestor's Strength came from hand. So this Adept of the Waves is currently 6 political and 6 military because he chose Fujicho as the target. So this, what My Ancestor's Strength does, basically takes a card in the discard and then transposes those stats onto a card in the conflict. So the conflict was moved over to Pilgrimage. And then double Path of Man gets played from the Phoenix player. Path of Man, of course, says after you win a conflict by 5 or more skill, gain 2 fate. So the Phoenix player is now flush. Extremely flush, in fact. And the Water Ring gets used to bow the Sneaky Shinyu. And the Unicorn player actually finds himself in a bit of trouble here because Stronghold is open to attack. Of course, the Unicorn player is going to do everything in his power to activate this Shitomi encampment so he can ready one of his big characters to defend with. And that's actually a fairly big blow. Upholding Authority means that I don't think the Unicorn player even defends this. Yeah, he's just gonna take a quick look at the not the Unicorn, the Phoenix player doesn't even defend this, and then he's going to take a quick look at the Unicorn player's hand and he's going to choose whatever he wants and discard it, unless of course the Unicorn player manages to play all his good cards before this happens. Thank you very much, Evan Gibbs, for hosting. Alright, so charge and unleash the Jinn. And he chooses to discard charge. And we see a second display of power cancelling the ring. That means Shitomi encampment is not going to ready any of the characters. And against the waves to ready Adept of the Waves. Wow, this is actually going to be the stronghold push here. Wow, a military stronghold push. And he's only going to be able to defend with one guy. So Unleash the Jinn is going to be directly detrimental. He has 0 fate. I think this is it. I think the Phoenix player is going to win. Yeah, I think this is it. Because there's still, he can still play My Ancestor Strength. Like it's enough already by pretty much default, but he can also play My Ancestor Strength via Stronghold and just buff up one of these Adepts of the Waves. Yeah, that's the GG. Italy wins out over Belgium. I honestly don't know if Master of the Swift Waves was used. I completely missed that. If someone in the chat caught that, please let me know. But that was a fast and furious game of aggro Phoenix doing, well, exactly what it needed to do, I guess. And I think Curly's army is a bit too excited in chat. Yes, the aggro player won. I guess in this case, both were kind of aggro players in their own way. So, wow, that was fast, furious, and actually really interesting. Double display of power basically saved the Phoenix this round. I think the Unicorn player really counted on having Shitomi encampment. It was not to be. So that's actually really cool. And yeah, the double path of man into display of power was an interesting play to say the least. It feels so good when you get to play like a double path of man from your hand. It's just all the fate, just swimming in it. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I am going to... Very soon I'm going to close down this stream, and I'll probably be around if there's more games going on. I don't think there is one now. I'm sorry I missed your game, Bill, but I was waiting for this one to start because it was deemed that the World Cup is more interesting than your round of 64 Discord League Cup. I'm sorry. And that is it for this stream. So, thank you very much, everyone that watched. Thank you very much, everyone that followed, everyone that hosted. I shall see you later. Goodbye.